I found a secret room in my house. I'm pretty sure it was built for something evil. Living alone is the best possible arrangement until you realize that there's no good explanation for the footsteps at night. I was hovering in the gray spaces between asleep and awake when I finally understood what I was hearing. I opened one eye to look at the digital clock. It was 12:19, just 13 minutes after I'd gone to sleep, and the rhythmic sounds had tapped their way into my dream sequence. Thump 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 was a friendly man knocking at my door. Thump 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 went the footsteps on my wooden floor. I opened the other eye and sat up. It's always difficult to untangle the sticky haze between early dreams in an empty house. I definitely heard something, right? Thump. I imagined that the source was holding its breath, because I certainly was. I tried to make sense of my surroundings. The red glow of the digital clock was the only light. I could hardly see any of my own bedroom. It had sounded like footsteps coming from the wooden hallway floor. I still didn't dare to breathe. I was renting the entire second floor of a house, so there was no neighbor that could have been walking through the halls. Anyone treading on the wooden floor had to be in my home with me. Everything was now silent. I let out a sigh. Thump. Crap. My pulse shot up high enough to cause physical pain. My mom told me that a single woman living alone in this town was at risk. I had actually convinced myself that I was safe, and right then I blamed Mom for letting me do so. What was I supposed to do? Call the police, only for them not to find anything? No. Just go back to sleep like nothing was wrong? Hell no. There was only one thing for it. I crawled out of bed, grabbed my Louisville Slugger with one hand, and plucked little Doodles off my nightstand with the other. Doodles was my stuffed dog. He kept me safe. I took a deep breath and headed out my bedroom door. I couldn't take a flashlight with me, because that would alert any potential intruders and/or monsters that I was about to discover them. I didn't think that my baseball bat looked very intimidating when paired with my long-sleeved pink silk pajamas, so I needed to keep the element of surprise on my side. Putting one bare foot in front of the other, I stalked silently through my living room, across my kitchen, along the short hallway, and poked my head into the bathroom. The bathroom is always the worst moment when checking for intruders, because Bloody Mary lives there. I looked in just far enough to see my own silhouette reflected in the dark mirror. I told myself that I would keep the lights off because I was staying clandestine, not because I was terrified that the image in the mirror would become a horrible wrinkly haunted version of myself if I flipped the switch. I slipped out the bathroom and into my tiny office. It was empty, of course, and it only meant one thing. I had to check the office closet. Without breathing, I stepped closer, rested a shaking hand that was still clutching Doodles on the knob, and held the bat aloft. I opened the door and gasped. Nothing. Relief washed over me. Damn, I didn't even realize how much I'd let myself slip toward the teetering edge of panic until it finally abated. Whatever I'd been hearing clearly wasn't a stalker. Who knows exactly what it could have been that echoed into my room? I paused. It couldn't have come from the living room or kitchen, because those were on the other side of my bedroom wall. The sound had been much closer than the office, as though it were just across from my bedroom door. Where would that place it? I walked back through the hall, kitchen, and living room. Then I turned back into the office. I stared at the walls in confusion. Why the hell was my office so small? And why hadn't I asked that until now? Too much central space carved up a rectangular floor plan. Brow furrowed, I moved back into the tiny office closet. This space should have been much bigger. Maybe it had been made smaller to clear way for the central heating duct. It got really cold here in Schenectady, New York, so the house might have been built around it. A tall vent stood in the back of the closet. I latched onto it and pulled. Clang. Well crap, there goes subtlety. The grate had come off much more easily than I'd expected. I kept the flashlight in the office closet, so I switched out Doodles to grab the black mod light my dad had given me when I moved out. I flicked it on and pointed it into the drafty opening. Holy crap! There was more space in there than in my entire office. How the hell had I not noticed this? I didn't want to go in. Then I imagined spending the entire night trying to fall asleep knowing I hadn't checked inside. I crouched down, took a deep breath, and crawled in. Within one step it had opened up enough for me to stand. I waved the flashlight around frantically, pointing the bat like a rifle, checking every corner. It was empty. My heart thrummed loud enough to alert the neighbors as I took in every detail of the room. It was unfinished and not insulated, revealing only the reverse of the drywall and bare studs as decor. A thin coating of dust covered the plywood floor. And it stank. Something was in the corner. I pointed a trembling flashlight toward it and stepped forward. It slowly came into perfect clarity. My throat tickled with a gentle caress of pending vomit as tears crowded around my eyes. Discarded, rotting pizza crusts. Empty bottles of water. A ragged sleeping bag that clearly belonged in the trash. One greasy sock, a moldy toothbrush, and a pile of very crusty tissues. Someone had been living in my home. I shook. There was more. I slowly knelt down to pick up a stick of something that had been left by the tissues. They felt disgusting, slimy, and heavy in my hands as I lifted them up and understood what they were. No. Photos of me. In my apartment. Me cooking dinner, me watching TV, me wet and naked as I emerged from the shower. Me on the toilet. I sobbed. One photo was taken from above my head while I slept. The photographer was no more than 3 feet from my face. The world felt tilty, like I was on an unstable boat. I dropped the photos, turned, and headed back for the office closet. In a daze, I moved the grate back into place, closed the closet door, and shut the office behind me. I'm in shock. Who was in my home? How did he escape if his footsteps were audible just moments before? And why did I let myself forget the bat in that horrible hidden room?